Hi, I'm Miles Abarr, CTO and co-founder at FrostCarbon. Something about me is that I've always been highly motivated by awe. And two things in my life that have given me the most awe are nature and physics. I can remember growing up as a child visiting Yosemite and seeing Yosemite Valley and El Capitan and the endless landscape of trees and waterfalls and just feeling like it was the most magical place imaginable. And there's a funny story where I was on a family camping trip and I kept saying, I want to go into the deep woods. And my parents would be like, well, we're in the woods. What do you mean? And I just say, no, I want to be in the deep woods. And I didn't really have the words for it at the time, but I think what I was really looking for was just this deep connection and serenity that you get in nature and being outside of the busy, noisy city. In school, it became clear that I was destined to work in something in math and science. And while chemistry and biology I found very interesting, it wasn't until physics class in senior year of high school that I really found my calling. There's something about the fact that physics could leverage these just a few fundamental principles to explain a whole lot of complex phenomena. But when I got to college and I was majoring in physics at first, it became clear that it was going to be hard to find a job working in physics unless I ended up getting a PhD and maybe teaching. And I wanted to work on designing and building real systems that get implemented into the world. So I ended up switching to engineering. And eventually, funny enough, I went to grad school and in grad school became obsessed with working on finding solutions to mitigate climate change. Again, protecting nature and using my physics background, and that led me down a very interesting path, a circuitous path of sorts, where I started in microelectrical mechanical systems. Funny enough, which is a not very big scale, and I was naive at the time to think that it was going to make much impact in terms of climate, but I did work on a very interesting project there, working on a cryogenic micro cooling system, where I was working on this micro compressor. And whereas a lot of grad students who had come and gone working on that project, it was actually called the Curse Project in my group. I uncovered that one of the core challenges with it was the power density required. So I ended up coming up with kind of a workaround where I thought, oh, what if we actually kind of pre-charge air vessel on the chip that could be used to then drive the system. And then I became curious, well, why aren't they using compressed air as a storage system at a bigger scale? It seemed like it could make sense. And funny enough, it turned out that not only had people proposed that before and built such systems, but it was an up and coming area. And there was even a startup in my backyard in Colorado working on it. So I ended up reaching out to the CEO and founder, and long story short, ended up getting a job there. And so at my job there, I worked a lot on various types of clean energy concepts, a lot of R&D of the specific energy storage solutions we had, including compressed air energy storage, but several others. And no matter where we turned, it became clear that it was a very hard problem to solve. Trying to fill in the gaps around renewables to have firm, dispatchable clean energy and be at or cheaper than just continuing to burn fossil fuels seemed almost impossible. And so I began looking for any solution. It didn't have to be energy storage, but any solution that could provide firm, clean energy. So I looked at nuclear, geothermal, and eventually carbon capture. And what really drew me to carbon capture was not only that it actually seemed like it could be one of the more cost-effective solutions, but it also got to leverage existing players in the industry. So getting the current utility providers, oil companies, and other stakeholders who are already invested in providing power to be part of the solution to decarbonizing the grid. So when I began looking, I kept running into these chemical solvent solutions, which are still to this day the current state of the art. But these chemical solutions are inherently very finicky, they're unpredictable, and they're very expensive. So I wanted to see if there were other solutions, and I came across cryogenic carbon capture as an idea, and I was very drawn to it. Similar to the way I was drawn to physics instead of chemistry, it seemed more straightforward, more robust, highly predictable way to do carbon capture. And at the time, there was very few people who had pursued it to that point. So my team and I kind of had open field running for the most part in terms of thinking of how would we develop and design a cryogenic carbon capture system. And out of that effort was born FrostCC.
If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and turn on notifications. We'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below. Share it with a friend if you think they like it. Thanks for watching.